My friends, what is going on? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Crazy day in the market. AMC got beat up a little bit today. We finished down 8.5%. But overall picture is still very much intact. Like I tweeted out earlier, the big thing that we're going to be looking for is we always want to be making higher lows. Okay, so long as that 1450 low holds intact, so long as that 1348 low, so long as we keep making higher lows above that, overall the bullish thesis is intact. And everything in between, like I said earlier today, is a little bit of noise when it comes to that. So don't. I implore you to not get caught up too much in every single little, intraday movement or like there's a rising wedge forming on the 1 second chart, that kind of stuff. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Now, one thing I did notice at the end of the day, though, is this right here. This looks a little head and shoulders-y to me. Okay, so you got shoulder here, the head, shoulder here. So this does let me think that I think we're going to come back down and we're going to test some areas. So let's talk about what those areas could look like. Number one, let's look at the fibs real quick. So see how that's kind of holding up. So we kind of finished in no man's land today. So coming down here, the $15, 1508 area is going to be kind of our golden pocket right in that range. As you can see, the 382 was respected today, as well as the point 0.5. So I would imagine that's going to continue to hold up. So that would be the first. Or we talked about the 786 down in that 1440 area, which once again, we know how much Amy likes her 786 retracements, especially on the lower time frames. And that would put us right at that 1450 support. So a double bottom there, I'd be cool with that. Another thing that we could look at, so that's pretty much intraday, what I'm going to be tracking, the same levels that I already talked about yesterday. Feel free to go watch that video again if you want them in a little bit more detail. On the daily, I'd be looking at, I've had this potential support from all the way back over here, touch the low where the buy button was removed in January, and then we're going to be coming down in here. So that support is in kind of same thing, that 1415 area. I'd be looking to get like I said, something that looks very double bottomy here, right? And, it starts continuing to push us on up out of here. And once again, the bull trend stays intact. So long as we get a double bottom or higher, as far as I'm concerned, we are still showing signs of reversal. So hope that helps. Looking at our wedges, though, so we're inside a wedge number 2 that we've been talking about. Once again, this wedge comes from the all-time high. We haven't even really touched the bottom of it, even though we're pretty close. So a touch there at the bottom of that wedge is going to be around that 1528 range, which is, I think that was the golden pocket that I just went over. Our very first wedge, let's see here. So we really haven't even come down and retested the breakout of this wedge. We could come down here and do that tomorrow morning. That'd be around that. So once again, we've got a lot of potential support areas. I have no idea which one specifically it's going to bounce off of, but I would imagine we'll be able to come back to this and go, okay, this is the one that it chose to bounce off of. Once again, TA is not a crystal ball. What TA is for me is because A happened, B should follow next. And so, once again, everything about today was perfectly normal retracements. As far as I'm concerned, it was... I said I wanted to get the gap fill and then continue upward. Unfortunately, we didn't really get the gap fill till kind of later in the day. Volume fell off, not off a cliff, but it was definitely, kind of this. It's hanging with what's been going on in this trading range, and in that 40 million ballpark, we were right at 48 million today. So volume wasn't anything to write home about. So like I said, we got a lot of opportunities for support in here, and so we'll just kind of keep our eye on that. The overall market tanked towards the end of the day. Facebook got destroyed, and after hours losing a ton of money. So like I said, I just really I always told you guys that when I don't know, I'm always going to say I don't know, and I can't quite get a feel for what I think tomorrow is going to bring. It's a little bit up in air. Let me check on futures real quick. Let's see what those are looking like. So futures, I mean, they're slightly red, so I mean that can change pretty much at any moment. So now the Nasdaq's getting hammered. The Nasdaq I'm showing right now is minus 330. So I mean, overall, it looks like it might be shaping up to be a pretty bloody day in the market overall. So if they really come at us and try to attack AMC, and the overall market is getting dragged down, like I said, we're gonna hope these supports hold up. If not, go watch my video from a few days ago, the AMC $10 or $20. Like I said, I made a case for $10. I stand by that case. If we look at the visible range here, like I said, we do have a volume gap right here. I'm not going to say AMC is dead, so I don't want you to mishear me. But my first level of like real major concern would be if we kind of broke out of this range. Once we get to the $10 range, I'll add more rows here so we can get a little bit more specific if that happens. Hope it doesn't, but if it does happen, but I mean, this is the most heavily traded area right here, especially since retail got involved. So I would want to see, people who, as averages are starting to get beat up and, who are starting to get overall down in the play and everything along those lines, we're going to want to see some real stepping in, right around here. But we're not there yet. So I don't want to sweat too much about it till it actually happens, because like I just went over, we got a lot of reasons to be positive about, a lot of support holding up. But we'll see. A couple of people, so I always say I try not to plan out these videos because I want these videos to be organic and everything like that. But I've had a bunch of people asking me about, I got tagged in a thing on Twitter today about February 16th or anything like that. And I went in there and I was like, I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I don't want to say it can't happen. Anything can happen. But I was like, dude, I'm not even trying to, be tied to this date in any way, shape, or form. A lot needs to happen, in my opinion, for us to, before I even talk about all-time highs, there's going to be several things that I want to see. And the first and probably biggest one is the one that I keeping on, harping about, and that is a new sign of strength, somewhere kind of up here in this range where before, once again, similar to what we saw down here, once this high, once we saw a new sign of strength pretty equal to the high that was back here in March, then it retraced a little bit and then boom, we took off. So I would want to be, starting to get into the lowest, about the $42 range, and then obviously up into that $52 range. That is going to be with volume. That is going to be creating the new sign of strength. Once we get to the new sign of strength, then I think we can start looking at new all-time high potential. And I do think that's going to happen. It's just when for me, not if. It's a win. Once again, the reason why I think we're going to grind out of here a little bit is we've got a lot of trading to do. Composite Man isn't just going to let us blow past all these 20 levels right here, especially in this low 20s and everything like that. They're going to want that traded. So moves where it's going to be, move up a little bit, then get knocked down, move up a little bit, then get knocked down. So these type of moves, I think it's going to be little bit of a grind, and even once we get here, we're going to probably get knocked off this resistance down here, and then we'll get to move up, but then we'll probably retest, and then we'll start grinding up and pull down, and it'll look something like this, and then we'll trade around in here, and then we'll moonshot. Don't get caught up on the dates down here, my friends. I do think all this can happen relatively quickly, but until I see the grind up that I'm looking for, once we get to that 30s and 40s, those, because that was so heavily traded right in here, I do think we'll move through this area relatively quickly, because once again, it's already been heavily traded. So I think we got some grind here. So let me go back and actually, once again, just kind of give you a little bit better idea. So I think this part will kind of be a slow grind up, and then we'll break out and then retest. But I think once we get here, we can move up here pretty quickly, trade around in here, and then move up pretty quickly after that. So maybe something a little bit more like that. But like I said, we've got work to do. And then people have been asking me about my all-time high target, and I've always said I do that based off of the trend base extension. So I really always try to push zero hopium or anything like that, because I only want to base any decisions that I might be making based off of data and facts and what I can prove on the chart. That's what I like to base my decisions off of. So and I'm using that based off of the trend based, or excuse me, the trend based fib extension. Ugh. All right. So how you use this tool is you go from the low, you go to the high, you go back to the low. So this was the run in Jan. Now we know the run in Jan of 21. Obviously the buy button was taken away and everything along those lines. This would have gone at least to here or higher, but it came pretty close. It went above the 2.618, which would have been 1702, and the 3.618 was 2279. So it got pretty close to the 3.618. So if you do the same thing and you go from the low where the buy button, let's use the tool correctly. If we go from the low here to the top here, and then we drag it down to the buy button collapse, you can see the 3.618 pretty much hit that top right on the dot. So once again, when people are like, TA don't work, just don't listen to them. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, it's just, he could not have hit more perfect than that right there. So if we use the same idea, so we go from the low here, the buy button collapse, we go to the top of the June run, and then assuming this is our low, we don't know that, but assuming this is our low, then the 2.618 would take us up to 187. The 3.618 will take us up to 254-ish. So the 3.618 has always been my price target. Once again, we talked about why on the Elliott wave theory, everything along those lines. So for those of you that have been asking me, that is how I am coming up with what's my next on the next run, what is my price target, and that is going to be what I am looking for, hopeful for, everything like that. Now, I know typically when you use these things, the 100%. So the $80 is your most typical one. And then a lot of people will take profit at the 1.618. So that would be 121, right in that ballpark. And so, there are people who are, once again, I'm not going to sugarcoat things for you, my friends. And I say that a lot because I know I'm always going to kind of get new viewers and everything along those lines. So I just want to make sure in every video, everybody knows I promise that I will always keep everything as real as I possibly can. And so, that means I am not, while I am holding AMC, I'm not just a crazy, culty, diamond-handed ape or anything along those lines. I still live in reality. I hope most of you do too. So, having said that, there is going to be people, I know there are people that they are just tired. And there's some people that are down right now that as soon as they get just back to even, they're going to say screw it, and they're going to move on to a different play than AMC. And you just have to be okay with that. You have to let people make their decisions. Once again, I always say, I hope nobody ever tells me when I have to buy or when I have to sell. And so I'm never going to do that to anybody. I'm never going to shame anybody for leaving the play or trading the play, or, you need to trade your plan and what is best for you. So as far as TA goes, once again, we got a lot of support coming up. If the overall market beats us to death, then all bets are off. We could visit that $10 area, although I think that would be a grind down. I think someone said max pain today was around like $15 for this week. So a big pull down tomorrow with the rest of the market, and then a relief bounce up into max pain. That wouldn't surprise me either. Once again, lots of possibilities. But once again, I'm not stressed at all. So I hope you aren't either. Last but not least, I want to talk just a little bit. Let me say where I believe I do really good work is going to be on the chart, providing TA. The behind the scenes stuff and bonds and how AMC is going to be refinancing debt and everything like that. That is a little bit outside my wheelhouse, but I do want to say that I personally am still a believer in Adam Aaron and what he's doing, and I think they're making big moves. My personal opinion is they're making big moves behind the scenes. I thought this person right here looks like apparently exempt. Did a great thread on kind of why it matters. People kept asking me, why is this good? Why is this good? And I told them, I was like, essentially think of it like this. If let's say you owed somebody a ton of money, and if they allowed, and you were paying a very high interest rate on that, if they allowed you to refinance that to a much lower interest rate, and then the maturity of that loan was pushed way out, would you feel like that's a good thing for you to do? And of course, the answer is like, duh, yes. Well, in my opinion, that's exactly what AMC is doing. So just want to read through this here real quick. And essentially, AMC is using a private issuing of $950 million in debt notes plus cash on hand to pay off their existing credit lines that have restrictive rules associated with them, taking on $950 million in new debt to eliminate. So they're taking on $950 million in new debt, but they're going to eliminate existing debt that they have. And I think somebody was saying, it's with that Apollo group or something along those lines. Once again, this is not my specialty. Please do your own research. I retweeted this thread, so please feel free to go through the comment section there. But what it did was, as soon as all this started, turning, Moody's went from upgrading AMC from negative to positive. So once again, even the market is viewing this as positive. They're refinancing all of their debt to 2% notes instead of 10.5% interest. That is a huge difference. It's going to save them $4 billion, billion with the B, between now and 2029. So essentially seven years. Which helps them with their credit worthiness. So once again, he did a great job of just kind of breaking it down, very simple, not too wordy, of why it is a good thing. And so I am still a big believer in Adam Aaron. I think he might have one hell of a memoir to write one day when this is all said and done. I definitely think that his hands are tied, but I still have 100% faith in the play once again, even if we break these supports. But we've got a lot of positive things going for us. AMC is looking better on a fundamental basis every single day. I can't remember if I already mentioned this, but if you like fractals, go watch Booksy's latest video. And this line of the support right here, the reason we kind of been skipping around is because tons of institutions accumulated shares right here for AMC. And anyway, it's the last part of his video. It was really good. So that's pretty much everything for you, my friends. We've got a lot of support. Market could be crazy tomorrow, but once again, it's just part of the roller coaster. Volume was low today. So today was just kind of like, all right, let's fill the gap and hang out in that range. And that's pretty much what happened. Kind of just a boring day overall. Like I said, don't get too lost in the intraday. Always look at the big picture. It is where I'm at. It's snowing like crazy and schools are closed tomorrow, which means my gym's going to be closed tomorrow, which means it's snow day. So I'll be a little bit more active staring at the chart, everything like that. And like I said, we'll have some fun. We'll take a look at it, win, lose, or draw. Tomorrow, in the market, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, there's all kinds of stuff going on. I think we're getting to some crazy times. That's why I tweeted out. between AMC restructuring as debt, the overall market, once again, if, these longs from these hedge funds, if those longs keep getting beat up, Melvin Capital, I think I saw was, heavily invested in Facebook and it took a dive today. So if that liquidity keeps drying up, then somebody's going to pick up the phone. Hello? Marge, I need to know you got some money for me. And when they say nope, then we say boom. I truly believe our time is coming on that. So I wouldn't be in this play and I wouldn't be making these videos if I thought otherwise. So, as I said, we'll see what the market brings. Y'all be good, be safe, don't be a troll. See you soon.